Hello and welcome to ET CFO Turning Point. I have with me a very intellectual CFO, Mayank Gupta, CFO of CarDekho Group. Welcome, sir.
Yeah, thanks for having me here.
So, sir, you are just coming out of your session. How do you rate the theme of the session?
I think the session is aptly summarized, capture the essence of what companies are going through right now, especially startups and emerging companies, which is a turning point and how to survive in an uncertain world. I think it's very aptly done and very well crafted sessions.
Sir, you are a CFO from startup industry. So, I just want to understand from you what is that one privilege that you have being a CFO of startup company?
I would say the number one privilege a CFO startup company would be just being agile. Okay, just being part of that ecosystem who works so fast and trying to create the new India. So I think it's a very proud feeling to be part of that world, which over next 10, 20, 30 years will change the country and probably change the world as well.
And in New India, are you getting proper support from policymakers so that like startup ecosystem can boost in our country?
Yeah, I think, look, if you've seen, I think what India has been doing over last decade, 2 decades, 3 decades, I think we are all moving toward the right direction. I think so much base has been set, and that gives us the right, environment to actually thrive. The reason I think the startups are able to actually do very, very well because I think the overall policies are definitely much, much better, but still it's a journey. I think there are a lot of areas where still, I think policymakers are acknowledging it and trying to fix it. But I think very, very happy and proud of what as a country we have come. But of course, very greedy to what as a country we can do. And as they say, right, Amrit Kal is getting started. Next 25 years for the country will be equally more exciting. And for all of us collectively as Indians, will be great to see this journey going forward.
And what is your top focus area in FY24?
Yeah, so look, as a company, FY24 for us is a very pivotal year. We are trying to get IPO ready fully. Part of our segments are already profitable. So, of course, like nothing new, but continuing on the theme of profitable growth and keeping, customer and governance at the core of what we do.
Are present macro condition favorable for IPO?
I would say India is kind of, one of the shining stars in the world. Look, IPO conditions favorable or not, I think it's all company dependent. If companies are good, then any season is actually favorable. We should control what we can control, and I think that's what we are focusing on. From a outside market environment, I think most of the markets, at least in Indian environment and maybe part of in the global context as well, is almost running close to all-time highs. So, there's no dearth of money. There's equal amount of money coming from domestic as well as foreign investors. So I think, there's enough money for good companies.
With startups, there is always a one debate. It's around like profitability, sustainability, and valuation. So how do you see this? And what is your priority among them?
Yeah, so I think that was a theme of our last session as well. So among the three, I would take sustainability as the number one, because if you build a sustainable company in every front, sustainable revenue, sustainable operations, sustainable outcomes and proposition for the consumer, sustainable environment for the employees, I think that's what is going to last, which also comes with the theme of ESG. That will be my number one priority. Number two will be profitability. Of course, every company runs for a return on capital. So it has to be a focus. And then come valuation. Valuation, ideally, I think no company should be focused on valuation. They should be focused on the first two variables, and valuation automatically is a mathematical derived number out of it.
You talked about sustainability. So when you sit peacefully at night someday, and do you think like this, like sustainability is a sort of burden on your profitability?
Look, I don't think so at all. I think, in long term, like it depends on how you see. If you see things for 1 quarter or 2 quarters or 4 quarters, of course, anything which you do for long term always act as kind of a burden. It's like exercise in your day-to-day life, right? On a daily basis, exercise may be a burdensome, but if you see a 5-year, 10-year, 20-year, your life, sustainability is like equal to that. So I don't think so it's burdensome. There are various ways you can do still not at the cost of profits, but just the way the path you choose. So, as an example, the E, S, and G themes. So, whatever we do, if we are conscious to environment, we are conscious to society at large, and we do it in the highest governance-driven way. I think, look, it's a very minimal cost it adds, and most of it, the way I look at it as a CFO is, most of it is, self-funded. So if you take some initiative, let's say if you put a solar plant, ideally speaking, it self-funds itself because you save a lot of other costs as well. If you do other initiatives, if you do DNI as an initiative, it self-funds by itself by having lower attrition in the company. So I think some of that is, I think we have to be open to new ideas. Most of the sustainability stuff is really pays for itself in long term.
Well said. And one word that describes you.
I would say resilience.
Great.